Alright, next round, and we are on the draw with a pretty medium hand. 5 lands, a 2-drop and a 3-drop though. I mean, this isn't great, but I think we have to keep. We are going to be hoping to draw some gas and not lands like Traverse. And looks like we're up against blue-black, which is, I mean, we wish we had more gas. On the plus side, it's not a big deal that we're missing removal from this hand, which it normally would be. So here, we want to get as much value from Tracker as possible. We don't really care about the damage aspect at this point. And we're almost certain our opponent is going to be able to remove the Tracker. On the other hand, though, it looks like they don't have good counter magic, like Disallow. Alright, they do have Murder, and they even miss a land drop. So suddenly, what looked terrible is looking okay, and that Tracker also looking real good. Unfortunately, things immediately go horribly awry, and that even keeps us from turning on our Delirium. But here we're thinking Tracker is going to resolve, and it does. Although at this point, a couple clues is probably not going to be quite good enough. And just traversing, since we're still a ways off Delirium, and this actually helps us get Delirium, to turn this Traverse on. And unfortunately, all lands, so gonna have to start cracking our clues. And our opponent has 6 cards in hand, so not good. Not good. If we had like a Nissa going this entire time, things might be different. So this is kind of our last chance before our opponent just has good mana. So I think we gotta go for the risky play of Virtuous Gearhulk and hoping it somehow sticks and our opponent doesn't have an answer. The other option would be to activate Hissing Quagmire and Rishkar it up. But I think Virtuous Gearhulk makes sense, especially since if it does get removed, we activate Traverse as well. And there's Jace, which gets to bounce. So now, thankfully, we can kill this Jace, and suddenly it's kind of looking again like our opponent is starting to run out of gas. And we still do have a lot of cards in hand. Of course, here we're expecting Torrential Gearhulk. So I make my Virtuous Gearhulk a 6 and my Rishkar a 5. Ideally, I want them both to be able to attack through Torrential Gearhulk, but that's not possible. So I make the Virtuous Gearhulk bigger because you can't kill it with Fatal Push. And then Rishkar, as soon as we get a Nissa minus involved, will be able to attack through a Gearhulk. And our opponent Glimmers, which is not good for us. They do bottom both, so we still do have a chance at this point. Assuming our opponent's hand is complete air. Of course, there's always another Gearhulk. And opponent is able to double block here. And decide to just traverse for a tracker, in an attempt to draw more gas. If it goes unchecked, it's definitely a way to win the game. Unfortunately, our opponent does have Fatal Push. Could have went for another Gear Hulk, but I don't think another Gear Hulk is going to get the job done. So here, go for a big Ballista. See if our opponent has an answer, and they do, and confirm suspicions. I can attack with Rishkar though, which, again, our opponent had a nice life total buffer to work with, and here we're making one last ditch effort before we get completely beat by the clue advantage, and Torrential Gear Hulk means we're just going to die. We are now officially dead once this Nissa gets dealt with. Yeah, easy concede from at that point. So sideboarding against blue-black, we want Gonti, obviously, Omnixilus, obviously, probably want Liliana, probably want, for sure want To the Slaughter, and definitely want all our discard. Maybe Ishkana if we want another more resilient threat, but we'll get to that when we get to that. See if we have enough slots for it. Taking out, obviously, all the Fatal Pushes, the Grasps, possibly some amount of Ruinous Path. So mostly the removal, and the Kalitas. Not a good threat against blue-black. So that's 9, and this is 10. So right now, the issue we have is that we want some amount of removal post-board. Our opponent will have Jace's, Torrential Gear Hulks that we've seen, and then possibly Thing in the Ice and or Kalitas post-board. So our next cuts are going to be Walking Ballistas, which actually aren't that good against control. The main reason you don't usually cut them against control is because they're on the combo, and you want to be able to disrupt the combo. But Walking Ballista is actually just fairly small against control post-board, so I would probably just do this. Bring in all these. So we have a huge sideboard, and we're expecting to be quite favored post-board, whereas pre-board we're probably quite non-favored. Alright, so unfortunately we are mulliganing this hand and then keeping this good hand. And I put the snake on top just because it's going to be great with this Rishkar opening, assuming our opponent doesn't immediately disrupt it. And even if they do, we could go Tracker into Rishkar or just run out Rishkar, which is going to be great with Omnixilus. So our opponent doesn't immediately kill the snake, and it looks like this Rishkar has a decent shot of just buffing up. Unfortunately, nope. So good start though. I mean, the snake is looking like it's gonna just be able to bite our opponent a bit, and I mean, unless there's like another horribly awry or rebuff or something, this tracker should get clue value. So our opponent is Kalitasing, which isn't exactly surprising, but it is scary. This is kind of a YOLO play. If we draw an untapped land, we just win instantly because we Ob Nixilis kill it. And we don't, which is going to definitely complicate things. So Tracker gets 2 counters. Unfortunately, we don't draw land, but at least we can attack in. And now the zombies are coming, which is not good. So we want to draw an answer or a land for Ob Nixilis. Unfortunately, we don't. Turns out Ob Nixilis would not have resolved there anyways. So we're still doing a lot of damage, still have Verdur's Gearhulk. If our opponent doesn't have removal this turn, unfortunately they do. And now Kalidas is getting out of hand, and it's going to be hard to come back here. So now we're just trying to stabilize and resolve some of our bigger threats. Unfortunately, Torrential Gearhulk is going to end things. Yeah, Fatal Push, killing our Winding Constrictor, that's just too much. And, I mean, that's how you lose to blue-black.